Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Project Seed Money podcast. I'm your host, Sharissa Bradley, and I am so excited today to be joined with author Briana Gervat. Thank you so much for being here and spending a little time with me today.
Oh, sure. So thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure already.
Wonderful. I just want to jump right in and ask, have you always wanted to be an author?
Yes. And it wasn't even a want. It was just, I always knew in my heart and in my soul that my destiny in this life was to be a writer.
Wow. So then what was the catalyst that actually got from always wanting to then having this physical like book in the world now?
It was a lifelong process. It was like, that idea that I knew it was here and it was here and it was definitely in the pen, but it was a matter of really going through that whole process of self-doubt and believing in yourself and then but also staying true to yourself and saying, okay, no, 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 this is what I'm meant to be doing. This is who I am, and this is and I can't stray from that, because if I stray from that, I'm not being true to myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that because sometimes the story just like calls to your heart and it just is what it is. It has to be, right? So wonder what your if you could tell me a little bit about your publishing journey. Like as far as writing the book, then did you hire editors? Did you choose self-publishing? Did you do traditional or query at all? If you could just kind of speak to your what your journey or path that you took to actually publishing was like.
So it's been a long, long journey. I This is my third book actually that I've written. Yeah, yeah, but I've self-published them all.
Okay.
But it wasn't, so I always knew I was gonna be a writer, and then it wasn't until I went to graduate school in Savannah, Georgia at SCAD, that I actually took writing seriously, because for the longest time, I mean, I would journal and I would write things and stories would come to me and I was working on things and developing them, but I never even though I played sports my whole life, I never took the time or the structure to know that writing was a practice. I always thought that if I was out there in the world, it's divine inspiration and then it'll just flow. It's like, wait, hold on, that's a lie. It's not true. That's not what writing is. That's not what life is. That's not what even any kind of job or work that you do is. So I have to sit there and write. I have to dedicate my time, my effort, my energy, everything that I am into this process. And so when I was in graduate school, I got my first poem published, and it was just such a like a it was like you get that writer's high. And then you just like, then you become an addict and you're like, well, what else could I do? Who else could I get published by? And it comes and goes and everything. And I sent out query letters, but like, I don't know, query letters, they're so hard because you don't know who these agents are. You don't really know if you situate yourself in the book industry or where you are and who to compare yourself to, whether you stay here or you're like shooting for the moon and being like, no, 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 I want this, So I did query for a long time, and then I have a very, very, very good friend who's been by my side for many, many years, and she just sat down with me one day. Well, she was the one that originally was like, why are you not writing this book? This was the first book, and then she sat down with me. She's like, well, why don't you self-publish? Everybody's doing it. It's not a big deal. So I wrote my books and I edited them myself. Because writing is such a personal process. It's not something that like it's amazing if someone's like, hey, share this with me and I'll help you. But to ask that of people is asking a lot too, because they have lives and they have their own time and their own responsibility and their own things that they bring into what you've already written. So this book was the first book that I actually put out there in the world and said, "Here, world, please tell me what you think of it. Tell me what I should do with it, and help me a little bit along the way."
Oh my gosh. That speaks so much to the power of community. It sounds like this person in your life is like really gave you that encouragement or that push to kind of do that next step. Is that true?
Yes, yes. I used to call her my RHB, my right hand expletive.
Yeah. I love that. No, we all need that. And I think about that even in my own life. I can relate in so many ways where it's like the project that I sit on, it's always like someone who's known me for a long time that knows that I've been sitting on the project that's like, okay, it is time. And then that is the thing that we need sometimes, that little push.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
recently, more recently than ever, I think maybe because I'm opening myself up to more community, because I dwell in solitude, like,
Mm,
as do most writers, I think. I think it's like,
yep.
but I'm all alone in the world. The only person that understands me is this piece of paper and this pen, you
Yes.
know? And then, it's that quiet encouragement. Like, I get messages from my friends, and like these are people sometimes that I haven't met or I've spent a brief amount of time with, or even my greatest friends that I've known for decades that are just like, you're doing it. You're doing it. And like, and I'm gonna keep standing by your side. And to have that community, have those people that are cheering you on when all the doubts in your head are like, you can't do that. It's like, no, 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 I'm gonna listen to them. I'm not listen I've listened to you long enough, and I am not holding myself back.
Oh, I love that so much because that is so relatable that we have this kind of like track going that is not kind and not supportive and not encouraging. So it's great when we can have like the outside fact tellers like say like, no, you're doing good, you're doing okay. So
Yeah.
you did go ahead and self-publish. I wonder when you were going through that, was there a learning curve that you faced when you were doing the self-publishing journey? Like, did you have to teach yourself how to do that?
Oh my gosh, like, yeah, from soup to nuts. It's like, it's not even just the writing, then it's the formatting and the making sure that your grammar, and I'm not gonna use AI when I'm writing, so I'm not gonna put it through Grammarly, I'm not gonna put it through anything else like that. Like, I have so many copies of my book that, are underlined, crossed out, like, "What were you thinking? Why are you saying this?" Like, and then my thing when I'm editing the most, the word that I say the most is "more." I will highlight something and just in capital letters, "more."
Yes.
And that's my editing. Writing to me is all editing. It is just complete and utter editing. And yeah, I think it was more empowering. I mean, yes, was it frustrating? And was it like, you get almost like that frenetic energy of like, you can't, like, you get, I don't want to say obsessed, because it's not an obsession. It's like determination, perseverance, all that other stuff, but it's like, no, I started this and I'm gonna see it through.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. It's so empowering. Did you create an imprint for yourself for your future books?
Yes, I did that when I wrote my first book, and I
Amazing.
called it Apeiron,
Oh.
which means like expansion, like it's just over, like, oh, the forever expanding universe. It's like the beyond, beyond, beyond.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. I do a word of the day series on my other channel, and I'm going to go ahead and take that. When I'm editing this video, I'll write that down for myself. That is so cool. What a neat word.
It
And
is.
what a neat way to start. Like you're starting with like the void almost, like the most amount of openness, the most amount of possibility. And I think that that's so cool. Do you intend to continue to write then more books in the future?
Oh yeah, I'm not stopping. I have like 5 books that are already in the making. Like, I have, but it's like, okay, like, I'm wanting to see this book through, and I just feel like like, I don't have children, but I always feel like books are it's like wanting so desperately to have a child, and then for some reason or another, you have this child and then you have to give it up for adoption. Not because you want to, but because like you like something happens and you're like, and then you have to watch it grow and you're like, "Wait, but that's my baby. Like, that's my baby. Why are other people holding it?" And then I'm like, "Oh, wait, because they're hopefully they love it as much as the love I put into it."
Yeah, and that's the whole point of the book is for other people to read it, right? But yeah, it is like it's like this extension of ourselves that now has to go and like live outside and be commented on and reviewed and repeated back to us, right? And so, yes, I completely agree and I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Oh, so then you've kind of touched a little bit on the fact that you did face this self-doubt. You did, and then at the very beginning you mentioned that when we have like a practice of something, we have to create like structure and discipline around that. And like you mentioned with sports, it's very similar where if we want to build a body, you have to first like start somewhere and then have that time in your schedule and then be accountable to that time. And writing is similar to that. And I wonder, have you developed other tools or like specific structure type things in your day that keep you on this schedule? Like, Stephen King says you get up every day at 5 a.m. and you write for an hour, and then you have to have your room and your candle and what do you do that's like that kind of keeps you on track and keeps you accountable?
Well, I'm not like Stephen King. I like to have 8 hours of sleep. That's very important. The minute I lose sleep is the minute that I lose all of my focus. So I do have structure in terms of like I like to go to bed at a certain time. I like to wake up at a certain time. And then I employ, I think it was it Joan Didion or Ann Patchett that one of them said, you have to do back exercises. If you want to be a good writer, you have to do back exercises. So obviously I'm a Pilates instructor because
Brilliant.
yeah. So, yeah, so I think that having that kind of structure, I feel like I give myself a little bit freedom, but if I'm in it with writing, like I wake up, I have my coffee. If I work out, I do. I like to get my day started and I am a morning writer. Like if I'm writing in the afternoon, my writing is garbage. So I give myself those hours in the morning. And then when I need to take a step away, I do literally take a step away and go for a walk or a run. And then I process it. I go through the pages that I've written or the words that I want to say. And I let them like kind of like move with me so that way so they come to a little more, they flow a little bit more, so they clear. So I need that physical practice to develop the mental fortitude.
Wow. Yes. Back exercises.
Yes.
Like
Back
write
exercise.
that down, you guys, because when you said it, I was like, wait a minute, back exercise. Is this some kind of like terminology I don't know about? No, it was legitimately like you're hunched over a computer 8 hours a day. Get your back going. Like that is so smart. Why didn't we ever think of this?
Someone did. It was just like you have to like if you think about it, like you just said before, with playing sports and doing and having a
Yes.
practice and building a body, building a physical body, it's the same thing. It's like it's okay. Like if I sit there and my body is fatigued, everything else around me is going to be fatigued. Everything else is going to, you have to find that alignment. You have to find that balance. Like we said before, balance. And if you don't find that balance, then like, my dad has always long been a person that has not only supported me, but he's like, let yourself be distracted because it is those distractions that enrich your writing. It is
Oh,
those conversations, it is those experiences that inform what you are putting down on the page.
that's good advice. That's really good advice. And I like that you're using your morning time too, because it sounds like you can allow for those distractions later in the day because you've given your best quality time. You're already done with it, right? Like you've already set that aside and walked away. And I love that your focus is on the physical body too. I just think it's never been said here on the podcast.
Oh, wow.
And never. Never. And I just love it. And then the Pilates aspect of it with all like the small muscles and like these things that we need to like to not harm the body while doing the process of being an author. And I think that is just so beautiful. I do have another question about once you've published your books and now that you have this third book, I wonder also if you can answer to like the change in that, but I wonder if you faced any vulnerability or that feeling of being vulnerable once the book or then subsequent books were in the world.
Yeah, I think that it's always vulnerable. It's so, I get messages from people. They're like, wow, you're really brave for writing what you write. And I'm like, do I write things that other people don't think in their own heads? Maybe they don't articulate it, maybe they don't like voice it. But am I not speaking to our collective humanity? Am I not addressing the broad spectrum of human emotion? Like what is it about my writing that is not different than being alive?
Yes. Ooh. Oh, that is such good, solid sound advice because we can lean on that as a truth when we are feeling those feelings, like mentioned, of like self-doubt or like even the kind of I call it like a monkey mind of like just like no one's gonna want to read this. Why are you doing this? You're wasting your time. Like that roll of thoughts that comes through. I can just hear that, like, no, am I not speaking to humanity? How is this different than just being a human? I think
Yeah.
that's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Can you please tell us where we can find you, social media, website, and where we can find your books?
Yes, you can find me in the woods most days. Like just walking, hugging trees, doing that weirdo stuff. But if you can't find me there, you can find me on social media. I'm predominantly on Instagram under Briana Gervat. And my book is on Amazon right now and in museums, which is really, really cool. And hopefully in the hands and hearts of people that have read it and want to share it with other people.
Yes, that is so beautiful. I will make sure to have all the links to easily access your website and social media in our description. And I just have one last question for you, and that is, if you just have any last encouragement for my listeners, they're female authors, they're on the fence, and maybe it's fear that's holding them back. I just hope you could encourage them a little bit to keep going on their journey.
I think that as women, I've been doing a lot of things. This is a great question because I've been doing a lot of thinking about this. I think that as women, we love to sit there and say, I can multitask. I'm going to call BS on that. I don't think that that is what we're destined to do. I don't think that that is what our lot in life is. And I think that really at the end of the day, you cannot give of that fountain of your soul or your life if you do not replenish it within yourself. And so if you want to write, and it's not selfish, it is not self-serving. If you are called to write, then my goodness, just write. And if it's 15 minutes a day or half an hour a day, that those minutes, those hours, they build up and they accumulate over time, and that becomes something. Writing is not something that happens overnight. Writing is not something that comes easy. The last thing I want people to believe as writers, as women, it doesn't come easy. It's the most difficult thing, but not doing it is more difficult. And you don't want to live your life and have that regret. So sit down with a pen and paper, maybe turn the internet off on your computer if you like to write on your computer. And while I just said allow yourself to be distracted, don't allow yourself to be distracted too much. Cocoon yourself, and then you blossom into something else.
That is so beautiful. I have so enjoyed our time together. This was such an incredible interview, and I feel like you've given us so many little nuggets. Just the exercise your back, like you blew my mind. And and
You're
like
gonna
I
go
said,
do some Pilates now. You're like, I'm planking. I am planking right now.
no doubt, no doubt at all. Thank you so much for being with me
Oh,
today.
sure. So thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode for Project Seed Money. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I will see you with another interview next week. Bye.